everyone doing today? I'm back in the clay studio. Oh shoot, I was supposed to do something. Hold on just a second. Is everyone having a good Monday? Is it a Monday? No, it's a Tuesday. Jeez. So, I am I'm just going ahead and making a post on Patreon, which is getting really confusing sometimes to do. There is like post on YouTube, post on Facebook, post on Instagram, post on, and then a phone rings. Okay, I need to set my phone on do not disturb because I have been trying to extrude clay for the last 3 days, and there is always some or the other distraction happening, and I just keep getting pulled in some direction or the other, and it's not getting done. And it's either I'm struggling with the setup of the camera because I wanted to do it live, or it is cleaning up the studio. I have been trying to clean up the garage at the same time, so sometimes that becomes a daunting task. I say like, oh, I'll just finish up this much and then get back to this, and it just lands up taking up my entire day. So I would say around half of my garage is organized now, as far as the clay part is concerned, for taking care of inventory. The side where I earlier used to store like packaging material or totes in which the pottery went for shows, that side still needs to be organized. Means now it's only empty totes because I've taken all the pottery and I've moved it onto shelves, and because I think it's gonna be a while till the shows start happening, and I don't need to have separate places to keep inventory for shows, inventory for online sales, inventory for wholesale. It's like I used to have them kind of spread out, like means everything had a spot, so it was organized, but it was taking up too much room. And now since the main source is online sales and some wholesale, very little wholesale happening right now because yarn shops are not fully functional. So I am trying to maintain my inventory that way. Plus there is all packaging material to take care of. So it's become easier to consolidate all the pottery in one place. And once it's all done, definitely we'll schedule a tour for the garage and you can see how everything is organized there. We'll also do eventually a tour of the clay studio, so you can see what goes on out here. Um, this side of the garage, which you usually land up seeing, is kind of pretty organized. Even that side is. It's just that there are some things I like to do a cleaning once a year. I go over everything, almost everything, and I trash a lot of stuff which I don't use because I don't have a huge space. I want to make the most of what I have. So I don't like to, I keep collecting stuff every now and then, but then if I haven't used something for 5 years and nothing is coming out of it or something, then it really needs to go. And especially if it's taking up room. So right now what I'm doing is I need to take my clay and turn it into blocks which I can put in my extruder. Let me see the camera angle, it's not capturing me properly. So let's see if that's better. So that, the first one which I did out there, that was kind of already done from the extruder. So this is all recycled clay. They come out like these 3-inch round cylinders. I cut them around 15 inches long, which is just the perfect size for me to handle, doesn't tire me, and I can make a block pretty easily from it. I hope my sound is okay because I'm trying a different setup slightly, so if you are online and are watching, go ahead, give a shout out and see if everything is working fine. Oh, and I didn't do Instagram. Okay, forget Instagram now. I can't have like 5 cameras on me right now. I'll have to do the setup on my phone for that. Hey Charles, audio is a little soft. Okay, let me see if I can change that. Yeah, the camera is which is the overview camera. That's the one that has the mic on it. So it can be it's a little further away from me than usual. Is this better? And I know I'm being noisy with the clay as well, so can you hear me better? Okay, good. I can increase it a little bit more. Hopefully that would be a lot better. So regardless of videos and sounds, in other news, as I'm sure you heard, we are not going to be meeting this fall since the men's knitting retreat is cancelled. And almost every year, actually from the very first year that I started attending, I always thought it would be a cool idea if everyone could come and visit my studio as well. Yeah. So yeah, every year I thought it would be nice if everyone could come here, see my workspace and everything, and it just never happened. But looks like this year that's what's going to happen. You can see my studio space and see me make the work without it. The only reason why I didn't push for it too much is because my space is small. once I have 30 people here, well, once I have 4 people here, there is no more room to walk around. So that's the reason why it didn't happen. The tour, I've not done the tour yet. I am planning on doing some reorganization and moving stuff. I've already done half the garage. This is my working studio space, and I will pre-post a link first before I'll do like a scheduled tour so everyone knows it's gonna happen, and I'll walk around the whole studio. You can see everything, where everything happens, what happens. That's a big waterfall flush which happens from the bathroom upstairs, so you get to hear that. And then the garage has the kilns and the inventory organized and all of that. So that part, it was organized earlier too, but it was just organized in a different way. So now I've organized it with the thought that I'm mostly only selling online these days. There are no shows happening for most of the year. There's very less wholesale stuff happening, so I don't have to maintain my inventory separate for shows, separate for wholesale, separate for online. It's all just bunched together as only online. And I have listed everything that's ready to ship, so I've started making new listings on my website, and not on my Etsy website, my actual website, creativewithclay.com. Yeah, so on that you can see listings where stuff is ready to ship versus stuff that is made to order. So and knitted pieces are definitely still always in shortage. That's the reason why I'm making more. And if there is anything in particular y'all want, this is the time to say, because the clay is getting prepped to be turned into mugs. Oh, wonderful. It's always nice to have tea in a charan mug, right? And I know Charles has always got one mug at the retreat, or sometimes even 2, I think. But yearly tradition to add to your Charan collection mug. Maybe at the Seattle fall retreat thing we can do like virtual Zoom meetup. I know there were some Zoom meetups happening with the Seattle guys, and I attended 1 or 2 of them, and it was good. But sometimes that's what it's like, it becomes too many people, and then when everyone is talking, then it's like but it was still good. It was nice to see everyone's projects, what everyone was working on. So it's a different way. I can always be on mute and just watch everyone, which is fine too. So that's the last one. So this clay is all recycled clay. One thing that this quarantine has pushed me to do is start recycling my clay, because the clay center also was a little bit in short supply. Well, they were not working much, so it was hard for them to get their workers in and be fully functional. But right before the quarantine lockdown thing started, I went ahead and got 500 pounds of clay. So I have that, but that I use mostly like for handles. For all of the stuff I can use my recycled clay, but for handles and stuff I prefer using fresh clay out of the bag. So that pushed me to recycle some clay. and I managed to recycle around uh, 200 pounds, and I probably have another 4 to 500 pounds left, because I thought I had in all only 500 pounds, but no, I have a lot more to recycle than I thought. Yeah, the Zoom meeting thing sounds like a good thing to try out. So next steps is to load up this clay in the extruder, starting with the biggest block. All the plastic bags are going to be used for recycling more clay. That will go here, and we can begin. So I'm going to move my one of the camera angles so you can see me and what I'm doing. It'll be the smaller view, which I hope is fine. And I'm going to be extruding clay now. So let me see if I can. Let's just do that. Okay, so that is the die holder for my extruder. Move that there. Let me just quickly switch over to the only webcam view so I can show you. So that behind is my extruder in which I'm going to load up the clay. I'm going to move my camera down so you can see better what I'll be doing there. That's my die holder, and that's the die I use for extruding slabs. Rather than using my slab roller where the laptop is actually currently kept, this is a lot easier for me to extrude clay to make slabs. I'll end up using most of my clay with very little wastage this way. So, and it's easier on my body, it's less walking around the slab roller, and I get more mugs per pound than I get if I would just roll slabs on the slab roller. I do use the slab roller to add texture and stuff on the mugs, but the base slab for making the mugs, that's just done on this. So let me switch over. So that goes in the die holder, and to remove any dry chunks from here. My voice has probably gone a lot softer because the camera is right there, so okay. So you don't want any dry chunks in there, that's the reason why I sprayed some water there. And this is the way the die holder goes on with these brass pegs. And the extruder I'm using is the Scott Creek extruder. It's a big 5-inch square extruder. It's called the Super Duper Clay Extruder. It's the one I have used for a very, very long time. It's probably I think it was the first equipment which, well, the first was the wheel, then was the extruder, and then was the slab roller. I think the extruder and slab roller I got at the same time. But yeah, it's one of my favorite tools to use. So in goes the clay, then goes the separator, and after which goes the plunger. And in order for this to be ergonomic, I like to put the plunger on this setup, so instead of using just my arm, I'm using my feet to extrude, and you will see that in a minute. Before that, I want to have my board ready here. Which is going to hold the slabs. The other thing I want to do here is mark how long I want my slabs to be. This is the reason why, if you want certain size mugs, now is the time to say I'm making some jumbo mugs and I'm making some 16-ounce mugs. So if like there are like if I'm doing what do you call yarn bowls or 16-ounce mugs, they are extruded at different lengths. If I'm doing small cups, they're done at different lengths. If I'm doing jumbo size mugs, they're extruded at different lengths. So that's the reason why once I'm done extruding all the clay, I have to make all those mugs, which is going to be close to 50 mugs, and only after that that's the reason why the turnaround time gets longer. Like if I haven't extruded clay for that particular piece, it takes me a while to extrude a whole bunch more because I have to finish all those mugs before I start the next. So usually it's always better to mention that, hey, I don't see this online, can you make mugs like that? So otherwise, that's the reason why turnaround time gets a little longer. Comes the clay. And as you can see, I'm using my feet to push down rather than using my arms, which makes it a lot easier. These are for the jumbo mugs. I'm going to load more clay in. I think I'm going to make at least 8 jumbo mugs, and the rest are going to be for the 16-ounce mugs. That's what the plan is. So in order to avoid the air pocket, I do make the ends convex. I think that's a technical term. Concave is going in. Yeah, I make it going out, so when I push this clay in, it does not create an air pocket. It still does sometimes, but it's not as bad. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to see something in a different view. Oopsie, that's the air pocket, but that's fixable. I'll show you how I fix that. For these jumbo mugs, it just takes up so much clay. Like I have to extrude a really long slab for it. So let me see if you can see. Yeah, it's in view. This part out here where I got the tear in the clay, it's not an air pocket, it just got a tear. Since the clay is pretty wet, I can just take some more wet clay and close that up. And this clay is going to get squished further in the slab roller when the texture and all goes in, and it'll all smoothen out there, and it won't have all these these tiny air pockets and all. They all get fixed in the next steps. But right now I don't even have to then worry about it that, oh, my clay is uneven and it won't be wide enough to make the mug that I want. That's the reason why I'm actually closing that very edge, so I can make the big jumbo mug that I need. Okay, so that will make 8 mugs, 8 of the jumbo mugs. Let's make 8 more. Anyone have any questions? Feel free to ask. When I'm making the jumbo mugs with one of those clay blocks, I can extrude maybe just 2 long slabs, which makes 4 mugs. But because I need a longer piece of clay. But for the regular 16-ounce mugs, I can get 3. I have to always make sure I remove this guy out before I put the next clay in, otherwise that is going to obstruct the clay from coming out. You can't see this on camera right now, but there is a very tiny invisible air pocket there. Every time I put in a new block of clay, I do get an air pocket, but it's easily fixable. It doesn't end up being an issue, and if it does, it's not too bad. I think I have a question here. Is that a North Star extruder? It's not a North Star. It's a Scott Creek extruder, the super duper clay extruder, which is a 5-inch square. So that's the extruder. And yeah, so in this I can remove the plunger. I think, yeah, North Star has the thing that the plunger just sits there, which I found a little annoying with that. My slab roller is a North Star though. I like their slab rollers. And you can see, rather than using my arms, I use my feet to extrude. That just makes it a lot easier on my body. Yeah, see some tiny air pockets here because this was recycled clay And I do have a vacuum on my recycled clay, but um, some of this clay I was just extruding in a little bit of a rush because there was a mountain of this thing lying around. So I wasn't spending enough time mixing it up very well. Yeah, it's I had to start using, like, for I think around the first 5 or 6 years, I always use just my arms for it. Let me come closer and talk. So yeah, I use just my arms for using the extruder, and it started hurting my neck and shoulders really bad. And that's when I saw this tip. I can't remember who it was shared by, but it was on Pottery Making Illustrated, I believe, where you just add like a 2x6 on a hinge on the wall. So it's hinged to the wall, and it has a hook on the far end, and I had to attach uh, kind of like a hooking device on the handle as well, and then it gives me so much leverage that it goes a lot easier, much easier on my body now. I just noticed that you're on Patreon. Yes, I started Patreon just recently, a few weeks back. I haven't been very good about posting about it and telling people that I'm on Patreon yet. Um, the link is there when you watch my live videos. So you're welcome to have a look at the different levels and everything. Um, yeah, means it's all organized and everything, but I don't know. I feel a little. I'm gonna post about it publicly soon, but I haven't done that yet. And I'm not only doing clay stuff when I do my live feeds, and most of my live feeds you will be able to see even when, even if you're not paying for a Patreon, you can still watch uh, everything. There are going to be some very specific on the higher levels of the Patreon. There are some videos I'll be posting regarding some new work, um, some very new interesting work I've been wanting to do for a very long time, but it just takes a lot of time and me moving away from doing production work. So what I'm trying to do is use this time when, you know, I don't need to do that amount of crazy production time. So I'm using that extra time to actually go ahead and make those pieces, work towards that stuff. And because it's time consuming, it's very new, I don't even know which direction it will go in. So there's a lot of experimentation, there's lots of back and forth. There is uh, there's going to be working with fiber, there's going to be spinning involved, maybe some weaving involved, definitely some clay involved. It has all those elements going into it. So, and it is very trial and error. At the end, might not even have something, but you can watch videos of that when I post them. But those are at the higher up levels. And once I have people, I don't think there are many people signed up for that. So once people sign up at that level, then I start videos of that process. sounds exciting. Yes, it is very exciting, and I've had those ideas and I've worked on them some every now and then. Okay, I'm done with my 8 jumbo mugs. I needed to make smaller mugs, so I need to make an adjustment. Yeah, so regarding the ideas, it is very exciting. I did, I had worked some on some things like that, but and even I sold most of those pieces, but I kind of have some other ideas, more complex ideas, and it's like I really need to spend time with it, and there's never enough time to play in the studio sometimes. But this time around, I was like, let me, since I'm not making hundreds of mugs every week, maybe I can spend some time doing that. So that's what the plan is. Okay, I need to adjust the length. What I'm basically doing, I just put like a needle tool on my measuring ruler here as to what length I want it. So that way I don't make extra long or short slabs. So this size slab works for my 16 ounce mug, and yeah, well, this will make 2 of them. So that's what that is for. Question. The self-striping mugs, yeah. I think I have only one of those self-striping mugs in stock. I think it's the green and blue one with a gray band in between. So I have those, and I also have the two-tone ones, like not the color on color, but like, gray. I think I have gray honey, gray and green, and one gray and purple one. I don't think I put those in stock. 16 ounce mugs are smaller in diameter, yes. No, but they are not the same in height. They are actually shorter in height. So there is a little bit of, actually there isn't. So the amount of clay that I'll end up using for my 20-ounce mugs is actually very close to the amount of clay I use for the 16-ounce mugs. Uh, because I don't want my 20-ounce mugs to be a lot heavier, just because they are bigger mugs, I use the same amount of clay. The walls of the 20-ounce mugs are actually thinner. And what that does is it makes for a lighter mug, which when filled with the liquid is not that heavy a mug. So means people say they like real big mugs, but once you fill a 20-ounce mugs, it can be really heavy. So in order to compensate for that, I actually make the walls of my 20-ounce mugs thinner, just so that it's more. Now I can make the walls of my 16-ounce mugs thinner as well, but I do like the weight of my 16-ounce mug at that, you know, at that particular thickness of clay. If I make them too thin, then the 16-ounce mug becomes a lot lighter than you expect it to be. Like visually looking at that mug, there is always that thing, right? People say that, oh, light mugs are better and all of that. I think the weight of a mug or a piece should be the weight that you expect it to be. So if you look at my 16-ounce mug, it should weigh how much you think it's gonna weigh. If it's too heavy, the minute you pick it up, you'll go like, oh, your wrist is gonna hurt. If it is way lighter than what you think it's gonna be, you're gonna pick it up and you'll probably fling it across the room because you thought it was gonna be super heavy, but it was super light. So you don't even want that to happen. So you kind of want it to be proportionate to what you think it's gonna weigh. So that's the reason why my 16-ounce mugs, they actually use the same amount of clay, but yes, the diameter of the 20 ounce is a little different. Oh yeah, so 20 your jumbo mugs is a blue lace one. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like the big jumbo mugs for having iced tea actually. I brew I just put very little boiling water in it and then put a tea bag in it, let it steep for a good 5 minutes, and I put some sugar in it too because I like sweet iced tea, and and then I just remove the tea bag and just fill it up with ice, and it dilutes that tea just perfectly for iced tea. And then I don't need a separate jug or whatever. There's a lot of ice in it. It stays cool all the way till the end, and yeah, I like the big jumbo mugs for iced tea and just having water. I don't have that much coffee. I think it's too much coffee for me. So I like my 16 ounce better for coffee. So I don't know if my explanation of my 16 ounce versus 20 ounce made any sense as to how come I'm still kind of using the same amount of clay, but as you can see, the slab is extruded to the same width, but uh, one will make taller mugs and the other will make shorter mugs because the thickness of the wall is slightly different. I hope that made sense. It's a very engineered mug. That's what you could say. Makes sense? Okay, good. Oh, and the jumbo works with your tea strainer too without overflowing. Oh, that's good. Yeah, there are also, I have seen these metal strainers. There was, I think, Alicia who sent me pictures of how she found the perfect strainer which fits in the mouth of my mugs. So she's like, it just sits in there and I can put my tea in there and put hot water and just remove the strainer. Nothing else to do. So I need to find that in case people like that and add it to my website as an add-on. But right now I'm not investing in a lot of stuff. And yeah, the other thing is like people are now requesting that they want 24-ounce mugs. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's just ridiculously big. People need to be drinking from jugs if you want that much coffee. And Adagio. Okay, I have to make a note of that name for loose deals. Looks like a clear mug. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna look into that. The main thing what happens, like I had seen strainers once before too. It makes sense to me to buy them wholesale because then I get wholesale pricing. I can get a good lot of them and all of that. It works well, but it means I need to spend a lot of money up front. And earlier I would do it. These days I am thinking a little bit further whether it's the right decision. So we'll see. But I will definitely check those out. Are they stainless steel or you said they look like a clear mug, so that's a little confusing. So it's like clear plastic or something, or? Oh, it is plastic. Okay. Yeah, the ones which I'm talking about, I think, are stainless steel. So, yeah, clear plastic. Okay. I think clear plastic would look nice too. I don't. I'll have to see them in person, but it'll be nice that it won't interfere with a mug as such. So it might be a good option. Because I've seen the stainless steel ones, which also look good. What was that question? Will you texture the slabs today? No, I won't be texturing the slabs today. So the thing is that I need the clay to rest for almost, maybe I will texture it today. It really depends on the clay most of the time. I don't like to texture it when it's so wet. It needs to be a little on the drier side for me to do that. And so when it reaches that perfect stage, that's the time when I texture it to put all the patterns on it. And that I find it very hard to video because I move around the entire studio space when I'm doing that. I'll end up using all my tables. I have no place to put the laptop on or my camera on, and it's just like kind of all over the place. And I've tried it once, and it was quite a disaster trying to show people what I was doing. So I usually do that offline and then but then when I actually make the mugs, that I can still again sit in one spot and I can show how I make my mugs. Oh, thanks for the link. I'm going to look at that once I get off from here. I'm almost done here. I have just 2 more blocks of clay to do. One is already in, and there's one more. So. And do they fit my mugs, Charles? Is that the strainer that you're using? Because then it will save me the trouble of getting samples. If it fits your mug, then it will fit all my mugs. Oh, it does. And it fits all the. I'm sure it would fit. If it fits a jumbo mug, I'm sure it'll fit the 16-ounce mug because they are very close in diameter at the top. I think the jumbo is just slightly smaller, very slightly, but still very close. I think they're almost the same. But yeah, I think they should fit both those sizes now. And that's a particular. I'm gonna quickly click on the link because I'm curious to see it in person. If it's on any standard mode. Yeah, this is standard, but then it's like the whole thing. What does standard mean? Oh, so that's like the whole T setup. Okay, I got it. Interesting. That is cool. Okay. So you brew it in it and then it seeps into your mug, I guess. So it sits on top of your mug, right? Like not inside your mug. I need to look closer again, but I think. Last block of clay going in. Okay, it sits on top of the mug and drains out at the bottom. Yeah, that's what I thought looking at the picture. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the strainers I was talking about are kind of like those stainless steel strainers which sit inside the mug. So it's basically just a regular strainer kind of thing. So for that, it needs to be the right size for the mug. Your daughter-in-law has one and works beautifully. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good to know. Are you talking about the one that Charles is talking about? The one on top, because I've not seen those much around. Or are you talking about the stainless steel one? Thanks for the tip on. Yes, yeah, if I don't round the tip of the clay going in, I'll develop a much bigger air pocket, and it sounds like a bullet coming out from the extruder. But if you round that tip, then it still makes, sometimes it does still make a tiny air pocket, which I can easily fix. Yeah, the one that Charles mentioned, okay. Cool. And I think I have clay to maybe extrude one more slab. That's one. Or maybe I can. So all these few chunks that were, coming off the plunger, I'm going to go ahead and wedge them together. And put that in the extruder as well. So that way I get the most out of my clay. Less clay to recycle. That's probably another month's worth. And I always forget to get the last bit from here. Yeah, the self-striping one you can special order whichever color combination. I think I have choices of, you can do green, gray, blue, you can do, green and purple, blue and purple. I think you might like blue and purple. And if you don't want that gray stripe in there, just send me a note or something, because some people like it only two tones in the jumbo mug. So the jumbo mug I've listed with like three colors with a gray stripe in between and a color on top and the color below. But if you want two colors like my two-tone mugs, I can do that as well. So if you let me know, I can just make a note of it once you place your order. That would be awesome and totally doable. Yeah, produce bullets. Yeah. And it helps if the clay is on the softer side. I have found I have less issues with air pockets and things like that if it is clay that I have recycled, which is on the wetter side, because it adheres better to the clay below when I'm pushing with the plunger. I think that has something to do with it. So yeah, and earlier I used to even like just squirt some water into the thing before I put the next, but then that sometimes it did squish properly, but it kind of created a wet spot, and that didn't work too well. It's not really needed, but you can try that if you're having trouble. red piece of canvas, I have to make sure that it's not stuck between my two layers of clay. Because if it is, I will not be getting any clay out from the extruder. And I have done that on more than one occasion. Last bit of clay. And of course, Charles, I don't know if you looked at my Patreon page. If you join in at that very first level of $5, you do get a 10% discount as well. And that's for any order, even if it is a custom order. So make sure you use that when you place your order, if you have joined the Patreon, that is. But it might come out to the same price, I guess. So that was the last bit. Now the way I remove the clay inside is I disengage the plunger. I do release the pressure from the clay here so I can remove my pegs. And this is what I like about this extruder. It's so much easy for me to clean. I just push it down and all the clay and all of that is out. So that's what I have, everything. Oh, did you sign up? Thank you, Charles. If you did, that's so nice of you. And so far, the patrons who have signed up, none of them have used the discount. So sometimes I don't even know if it's working, but it should. I think you should get that discount code. If it's not working, let me know. So, like I said, it's been only like 1 or 2 weeks that I have set up the Patreon, and I'm still learning things about it. That is also another reason why I've not posted too much about it, because I'm like, what if it's not set up properly? And there are plans of introducing a new mug pattern later in the year. And if you're at one of the highest levels of the Patreon, you get first view of the mugs, you get first dibs on the mugs. So the first batch of mugs that gets made goes to the patrons. They are the ones who can order them if they want them, and they'll get first dibs. Only after that everything goes made to order for everyone else. So you get them first. Alright, so that plays out. So after extruding all that clay, what I have left to recycle, where is my, this is not my tools, which is not where it's supposed to be. I just hate it when that happens. Must have dropped it or something. Nope, it's not here. Anywho, but I think this is probably like A pound. Go ahead, extrude, have fun. So this is like maybe a pound of clay out of all that clay that I've extruded. If I was making my slabs on the slab roller, I would be wasting so much clay, at least more than this for every bag of clay, and this was, I think, at least 4 bags of clay. So only that much extruded, and most of that clay will get used up. So that's one way to do slabs. You don't have to do them on the slab roller. Alright. Well, thank you everyone for joining. These need to set up before I can do anything else with them. But thank you Charles. The link from the Patreon to the store does not include a discount link. But do you get a discount code when you signed up? You're supposed to get a discount like coupon code thing in your email or something. Because I have set it up that it should have the coupon code. There is a coupon code set up for it. If not, let me check my phone. Patreon. Dashboard, account, settings, more memberships. No. Okay, I see you have joined in. Yeah, I think it would go to email. If it hasn't, send me a message and I will see what exactly happens, and maybe you can help me debug this. Like, do you get an email with the link or what? So, I appreciate that. Alright, I will sign off from here and I will look for your email if you're having trouble with the discount code. Alright, take care everyone. I will talk to you later. Bye.